Friends, welcome. My name is Tolly Bryn. This is The Joy of Awareness. And today I want to talk about sexual energy, which is a topic that I find really, really interesting. Now, to set some context, I've been interested in sexual energy for a decade or more. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I've been practicing semen retention for a long time as well. To be honest, on and off, definitely. But I have had periods where I have managed to retain for many months at a time and experienced enormous benefits from doing so. And to be honest, I've kind of fallen out of the practice in recent years. And I'm just now starting to kind of remember what I'm missing out on. I've come to think that sexual energy is basically just the life force, the creative force. That is definitely, through my own experience, that's what I have found by cultivating my own sexual energy, by not constantly spewing it out through, masturbation and porn or through hooking up or constantly having sex. Even things like just constantly thinking sexual thoughts or looking at beautiful women, for instance, in a sexual way, really affects my sexual energy and really affects all kinds of other things. Now, I've found also that it's difficult to tell exactly what it is that is attributable to semen retention and what is attributable to the wrong mindset in this regard. So what I mean is that for the longest time I was following the nofap ideology, and I've now come to realize that there are many things in the nofap approach which are highly detrimental to success when it comes to sexual health. And when I talk about sexual health, I'm not talking about the sexual health that they hopefully taught you a little bit about in school. I'm not talking about like chlamydia and safe sex and all that, although that stuff is definitely important. What I'm talking about when I say sexual health is a balance of the sexual energies. And that means not squandering it for no other purpose than instant gratification. And this certainly applies to both men and women, obviously, but I, being a man, can only speak from the male perspective, so that's what I'm going to do. So this video will be more or less focused on the male experience. Now, before I carry on, I'd like to ask you a favor, and it's kind of a fee for this video, and that is to throw in a like, subscribe to the channel, even share the video if you're getting value from my videos, and I know that many of you are. I would like you to share it and help me spread the word, because that is my ultimate goal with doing this. I'm trying to share whatever insights I've been coming up with throughout the years, and I want them to reach as many people as possible. So if you can throw in a like there, I'll be super grateful. But to carry on with the topic, I've realized, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, nofap. Nofap. I have a love-hate relationship with nofap, because nofap as a movement, or as a whatever it really is, it's a Reddit subforum, or I don't really know how it started exactly, but it's a movement, I guess. It's definitely got its head in the right place. Like, the premise is correct. Porn is a huge problem. They historically have focused mostly on the male problem of porn, simply because I believe it's more commonly believed, I guess, that men have, well, not necessarily a problem with porn, but are more inclined to seeking out pornography, while women, presumably seek out or express their sexuality in different ways. And I think there is some truth to that. However, it has come to into the limelight that women are also dealing with problems with porn, and pornography in itself is a huge problem, not just when it comes to sexual energy, but there's just so much disgusting stuff that happens around the porn industry, literal sexual slavery and coercion and violence and all that stuff. This, the porn industry is just, it's up there on the scale of evil. It's up there with the huge pharmaceutical companies and companies like Halliburton, those the arms manufacturers. You have these intrinsically evil business plans. Pornography is one of them, certainly. But as I say, nofap has its head in the right place, but I believe its approach can be dangerous, and it can be poisonous, I should say. Well, maybe not dangerous. The danger, I would say, from following the nofap approach of 90 days, no PMO, which 90 days without porn, don't get me wrong here, 90 days without porn and masturbation and orgasm is a great thing. That's a really good thing, definitely. What I'm talking about is the approach, the 90-day approach. What I found, and what so many other guys have found, is that by setting a number like that, and then constantly counting days, and then counting every slip up as a relapse, and starting again from zero, is incredibly demotivating and incredibly just, it's bad for your mental health. That's what I found, and I followed this approach for years, like 5, 6, 7 years. I was diligently doing my best, trying to get to 90 days, and one day I actually reached it. I reached the goal, and I went past it, went to 150 days or so before I started having sex at that point, and then soon enough I sought out porn again, and thereby ended my streak, and I'm back to zero. Now, what does that do to your mentality? I'll tell you, it makes you feel like absolute shit, and it is not conducive to a healthy view of yourself. Instead of seeing 150 days without pornography, without masturbation, as the incredible triumph that it is, you instead look at the relapse, and you see yourself as a failure. And as this goes on and on and on, as guys, finish 5 days or 3 days or 7 days or however far they get, many guys go many weeks and then they, fail. Keep doing the air quotes, but that it's important. It's important to realize that this is not failure. This is not relapse. We need to do it a day at a time, guys. Like, you can't be counting the days. It's okay, like, retroactively to check out how many days you've gone. But the absolute best approach to this thing is to do every day as well as you possibly can. Just say to yourself every day, like, I am not going to give in to the urge for artificial sexual stimulation. Like, I'm not going to do it. And you can do it. You certainly can do it. Just think of any time that you've been on holiday or been with your family or whatever, anywhere where you didn't have a chance to seek out porn and masturbation in the way that you've done, insofar as you've been using porn and masturbation as an escape tactic. You didn't die. You didn't, like, I don't know how long of a time it was, but most of us have been stuck in situations where we can't, or we don't have the chance to jerk off for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks or something, and you don't die. Nothing happens. Like, you can do it. This is all mental. This is all in the mind. Now, I didn't really want to talk about nofap so much because I'm kind of past that. And I'm saying that in the least condescending way as I possibly can, but I do feel like I'm past the nofap era, because as much as I love the ideas behind it, I do believe the approach is poisonous, and it doesn't help most people. Like, there are people that I have spoken to and that I have read anecdotes from, who made the whole 90 days in their first or second attempts, and then just went on to just never relapse again. And awesome, that's awesome news. That's really, really good stuff. But I think I can safely say that if they had started relapsing constantly, every 5 days, maybe 5 or 6 times, they wouldn't have gotten that result, simply because the approach would destroy their confidence in their ability to stay away. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit more about the essence of sexual energy. Now, sexual energy, as I understand it, is what is behind any creative endeavor. Now, obviously, semen in itself, like in its essence, is baby batter. It's what you put in the oven to make a fresh baked baby, and that in itself is, evidence for its creative potential. But what I think many people don't understand, although it's hard to say, like, I want to say that it's becoming more common knowledge, but it's just so hard to understand the zeitgeist these days. Like, everybody's on social media and everybody's reading and viewing different things. Like, the algorithms are keeping us in these bubbles. So even if I, watch all kinds of videos or read all kinds of articles or stuff about semen retention and sexual energy, and I see all these comments, I'm like, oh man, everybody's thinking about this, everybody's doing this. But that's just a tiny part of the population. So anyway, I think most people don't actually realize that sexual energy can be directed and transmuted in other ways than carnal sexuality. And absolutely, like, I'm not anti-sex or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that sex is a bad thing. Sex is fucking awesome and I love it. But what I am saying is that the production of semen, the tension of the sexual experience, it uses up a lot of energy, and in many cases it can give you a different kind of energy back if you are connecting with your partner in a deep way. That has been my experience for sure. Like, you can get a sort of transmutation going through sexuality with a partner, and that's all just good stuff. But what most people don't realize is that you can transmute it into other, you might say, higher endeavors, creative pursuits. I remember when I was a kid, I hope this isn't TMI, but when I didn't start actually masturbating, and I didn't actually even learn how to orgasm until after I was 18 or 19. And during adolescence, after puberty, and up until that point, I was incredibly highly sexed all the time. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was just really, really sexually tense most of the time. And at first, this got transmuted into my schoolwork, into my homework. Like, I finished elementary school half a year early, simply because I had awesome grades and they wanted to take me earlier into no, I guess I'm confusing my schools here. This was at 15 years old, so I was going into what you would call high school or college, I guess, in the US. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I went a half year earlier into high school and had just really, really good grades during that time, until I discovered electric guitar and alcohol and weed and girls. So then my sexual energy started becoming directed into and also exercise, lifting and all kinds of stuff. So I started to direct my sexual energy in those pursuits, and especially into electric guitar. And my friends were just amazed at how fast I became really, really proficient, and started playing like, solos like The Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson, or Eruption by Van Halen, and stuff like that. And I was just having just such a good time, and I just had such, a passion and such energy for just getting really, really good at this stuff. And I had a friend who had been playing for years, and like I overtook him in a matter of months. And he was like, damn, man. And it kind of became a rivalry between us, but I realized later on that the reason for this is not that I'm some, prodigy or whatever. I'm certainly not. Like, I have my, I have some pretty stupid moments throughout my life, and make a lot of mistakes, and I love it. That's how I like to live life. But it's not that I was like some guitar prodigy or whatever. It was that I had such pent up sexual energy that I wasn't able to direct into anything else, and I wasn't able to release it because I didn't know how. And it got directed into electric guitar. Now, when I started, I met my first girlfriend, and started sleeping with her, and started expending sexual energy in a different way. And then after we broke up, I realized that, I could actually orgasm by myself. I learned how to do that. And that's when my passion for guitar just absolutely collapsed. And I should point out or admit that even though I didn't know how to masturbate as a kid, I did watch porn, and I grew up with porn, and that is highly destructive and highly detrimental. And I believe that's the reason for why, for the longest time, I had really, really bad social anxiety, especially between the ages of like 13 to 16 or 17. And even after that, like I really broke out of my shell, so to speak, and started meeting people and making more friends, and meeting girls. But I still had this, constant inner turmoil of anxiety and just lack of confidence in general. And so, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but the fact is that that porn in itself is unhealthy. Masturbation, I'm not so sure. Like, I don't really want to say that masturbation is unhealthy per se, but I do believe that learning about sexual energy cultivation for a man is a very, very interesting pursuit. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend trying it out. But these days, as I was saying, I've been doing a completely different approach. Like, I'm not counting the days, like, I masturbated yesterday, so it's been one day or whatever it is. Like, I actually have an app on my phone now where I can set a streak. So, like, sometimes I feel like I'm really sharing too much here, but it's fine. It's funny. It's nothing to be ashamed of, really. Like, this is sexual energy is something that is so important. It needs to be spoken about, and it needs to be understood. So that's why I'm speaking about it. But yeah, I have an app on my phone where I count streaks, but which doesn't require anything from me other than that I reset the streak after it's finished. So if I do end up releasing, I check out the app and reset the streak, and at that point I see how many days have passed. And more often than not, it's way longer than I expected. Like, your mind doesn't really follow time as well as you may think. And I think this is a way, way healthier approach, and it even keeps like a log of your streaks without you actually having to think about it. So what this has done for me is that it has allowed me to stop constantly focusing on the streak, on, oh man, it's only been 3 days, or oh man, it's 7 days now, I can't relapse or I'll feel like shit. Like, no, I'm not doing that stuff anymore, because I've realized that is absolutely deleterious to my mental health and to my sexual health. This isn't a problem, guys. Porn certainly is a problem, but cultivating sexual energy is not a problem, and it's not a challenge. It is a lifestyle. It is a way of developing discipline, and probably the absolute best way that you can do that. Obviously there are more ways, but cultivating the sexual energy and just learning to take this incredible force and direct it to where you want it to go, it's unbeatable. It's something that cannot be compared really to anything else. One final thing that I wanted to mention is that the transmutation of sexual energy is definitely possible, but it is something that must be approached very proactively. It's not possible to just set it and forget it. You have to realize that, especially if you are in the habit of releasing constantly, it will take some time and some discipline to say to yourself, like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to direct this energy elsewhere. And you need to have ways in which you can actually do that. So some basic things, some basic transmutation principles that I use. Number one would probably be exercise. I do a lot of calisthenics and I love it. Transmuting sexual energy into muscle is a very physical and very obvious way of transmutation. It's a very clear-cut way of seeing where your sexual energy is going and what it is actively building up. Another thing that I use is meditation. I can't remember if I've mentioned this in other videos, but I used to be a very, very avid meditator and meditated for 2 hours a day for, a year or two, many years back. I got really deep into Vipassana meditation and did a lot of that. But then in the last 3 or 4 years, I more or less stopped and didn't really meditate anymore. And, I don't even really know why, but now I've started meditating again and it's been absolutely awesome. And I started meditating this time as a transmutation technique. And how that works, and I've been really thinking about, like, why does this work? Why does it work to transmute sexual energy through meditation, through proactive focusing of attention? Like, that doesn't really make sense. But what I believe happens is that the sort of relaxing element of meditation is a way of taking the edge off of the sexual energy. And if you allow the sexual energy to just build up and become more and more tense, that is a surefire way to finally release, whether that be, you consciously masturbating to porn or whatever, or if it's a wet dream. Like, constant sexualizing of yourself and of your environment and of your thoughts especially, it will in the end push you toward carnal sexual release. And in the case of semen retention, you're trying to stay away from that. So you want to reduce that edge if you can. And I think meditation in regards to semen retention should be approached more as a, catalyst for further transmutation rather than a transmutation technique in itself. Although I called it a transmutation technique earlier, I'm kind of redefining my terms here. Because what it actually does is that when you have this massive surge of sexual energy and you feel like, oh, I'm just about to explode and I need to release this. If you sit down and start meditating and really get deep into it, you will, kind of blunt the edge of that incredible sexual urge that you have. And after meditation, you will be in a much better place to actually pick up whatever it is that you actually want to direct your sexual energy toward. Now, that could in fact be more meditation. Like you can go so deep in meditation. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but meditation can certainly be a transmutation technique in itself, simply because you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into your mind and kind of dig out all kinds of stuff and gain all kinds of understanding simply from following that approach. But you can also meditate simply to take the edge off and then direct that energy into creative pursuits, whether that be making music or painting or designing clothes or whatever. Like I'm writing books these days and doing these videos, writing articles on my website as well, and I'm also renovating my home here. I just set up a new shower in the bathroom, which I'm pretty proud of, and like I saved the old shower as well. Like I bought the new handle and everything, and the new, don't even know what it's called, the water tank thing that you turn for the water. Bought a new one of those, bought a new handle and put those up, and then I cleaned the rest of the shower. It was disgusting before, but now it's like new, and I'm just really proud of that. That's just awesome. And that is definitely a transmutation of sexual energy. Like I could have just went into my room, jerked off, and then just watched Netflix or scrolled down on Reddit for the rest of the night, and nothing would have happened. But instead, I decided to direct that sexual energy into a productive project. And I think I've rambled enough on this subject, but as you can probably hear and see, like I am really, really passionate about this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this stuff, because this is near and dear to my heart, and I do feel a little bit awkward like talking about this. This is the first time that I've done a very personal video on sexual energy, but I feel it needs to be spoken about. And I feel like, there are loads of people on the internet talking about semen retention and nofap and all this stuff, and the dangers of porn, and I'm just another drop in the ocean. But I think the more of us that actually come forward and start speaking about this stuff, and start speaking about the problems or the troubles that we've had with pornography, the easier it'll be to actually get up a conversation about this and stop being ashamed. Because it's the only thing that we should be ashamed of is that we have allowed the companies behind porn production, the pornographic industry, to grow as large as it is. They play to our most powerful urges and to our most prominent weaknesses. They do it in the same way as the pharmaceutical companies do, and the social media companies, and it's just despicable. And that is the only entity that needs to be ashamed is the pornography industry. Individuals who get stuck in pornography from adolescence, there's no shame there. It needs to be fixed, don't get me wrong, but shame is not a part of the solution. Anyway, I hope you gained some value from this video. As always, like I'm doing my best to just get some value out to you guys. I just absolutely love that I'm getting more and more subscribers, more and more people are watching my stuff. 20 subscribers now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but to me it's just amazing. Like I didn't really expect anybody to want to listen to my rambling, but 20 people have subscribed, and that is a milestone, and I just want to thank you for that. Now, if you can like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. By the way, you can check out my book as well, Health Simplified. It's on Amazon, and I'll leave a link down below for that. It is an awesome book, if I may say so myself. It's short, and I go really deep into the way I healed myself from chronic autoimmune disease through fasting and simple diet. And it went so much deeper than simply like the physical aspects. This completely changed me as a person. It fixed my mind, it fixed my body, and it helped me develop a lifestyle and a way of life that is just so much more conducive to human thriving. And I think if you are at all interested in any of the videos that I'm making here, you will love that book. It's only $2.99 on Amazon, and you'll be helping me out a lot. And if you do buy it, leave a review, definitely, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Otherwise, you can check out my website, which is joyofawareness.com. That's where I write a lot of articles on subjects that I find interesting and important, and I'm sure you'll love those too. Otherwise, I hope to see you next time. So, see you guys.